Hello, my friends, it's Johnaroth, and if you ever want to complete your dailies, your quests, just go in and get some wins really easily in the queue, and then be done for the day with Arena, Loot is the commander for you. Loot is an incredibly deceptively strong card where a lot of my opponents tend to scoop rather early in the games. For 5 mana, he is a 2/4 with double strike, vigilance, and haste. And he has 3 exhaust abilities, and an exhaust ability is ability you can use one time only before it is exhausted, unless you blink the commander. We'll get to that. But his abilities harken back to the original old school cards for each of the Magic, the 1 casting cost spells for each color. Specifically for 1 mountain, you can have him do 3 damage to any target. Lightning Bolt. You can pay 1 blue and draw 3 cards. What is that? The really broken, was it Recall, I think? I've never actually played with that card. It's a lot of money. But then for 1 tree, 1 green, you can add 3 mana any color, which is technically Dark Ritual, which should have been a swamp, but maybe they just wanted him to be in the green, blue, red colors. So this deck is really structured around ramping and then dealing a lot of damage, drawing a lot of cards. So as you can see, we have a lot of spells in the 1-drop slot to help ramp: Utopia, Delighted Halfling, Birds of Paradise, Arboreal Grazer, etc. Then when we get up into the 2-drops, we have a lot of control spells: Tails End, Counterspell, Mana Drain, still having more ramp. And then when we get to the 3 slot is when we start to have some bigger effects. I love Uro. Uro is one of my favorite green-blue cards ever created. We have more ramp. We have some removal with Brother's End to get rid of a lot of low-level creatures or artifacts. And then in the 4 and 5 drop slots are our big payoffs. This deck, how I built it, is a little more heavily focused on blue. It has a lot of time, take additional turn broken cards in it, like Temporal Manipulation, Time Warp, Alron's Epiphany. I found several games I was playing where I could literally just keep taking additional turns over and over again, and the opponent just gives up. I played a lot of games for this video, and I didn't lose a single game that I played. Not one. I'm not saying you're never going to lose with Loot, but he seems to inspire some terror in others, and that seemed to get me some wins. I also got some timeouts on the games. I had to edit out some of the games, but Loot is just a really strong, powerful, and fun commander to play with. So let's take this monster into the queue and see if we can make our opponents run away screaming in terror. Let's go. Okay, my first game is against Bonnie Paul. Bonnie Paul is a blue-green deck, probably going to have a lot of ramp, really strong commander, probably some control elements. For this hand, I do see that we have some ramp to us and a couple counter spells, some card draw. This hand is not bad. I'm going to try to... Well, let's see if let's do 1 mulligan. Okay, this hand seems a little bit better, so we're going to keep this. Put down the Surveil land, and an Arcane Signet is always welcome, so we'll keep that. Okay, he has a Delighted Halfling. And I'm going to make the Halfling lose its abilities, because I don't want him to have that ramp. Okay, he has another ramp creature. Access with our 0/2, I respect it. Okay, we're going to put the Thornspire Verge in our hand, the Arid Mesa back in the deck, and we're going to cast Lightning Bolt on the elf, get rid of his ramp, play a land, and pass the turn. Okay, he does have 1 mana open, which is kind of scary. Throw down a land. I'm going to cast Stock Up to look for some more cards. Put 2 of these in our hand. I'm going to take the Growth Spiral and the Roadside Blowout. We're going to go get a land. I hope. Get the Breeding Pool. Okay. There's no need to really put down the Chrome Mox yet. He's going to seek a card. Looking for lands, I'm assuming. And our opponent scoops our very first game with loot as a win. Good game. Okay, our next game is against Omnath, Locust of the Royal. Omnath is a scary, scary magic card. It can do a lot. This specific Omnath is a 3/3 for 4 mana, and when it enters, it deals damage equal to the number of elementals. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 on target elemental. If you control 8 or more lands, draw a card. So it's going to be a landfall type of deck. This hand does have some removals for some ramp artifacts and early creatures, so unfortunately the rest of the hand really doesn't do a lot, so I'm going to have to mulligan this. This hand is not a lot better, but it does at least give me the mana that I need with a little bit of counter ability, so I'm going to keep it. Summon the Arcane Signet for ramp. Our opponent's also ramping with Into the North. We're going to cast Cultivate. Get ourselves a forest and a mountain. Okay, our opponent has an Oracle Madias, scary magic card. Allows him to play additional lands. I am going to summon Loot. Put down a land, we attack. I'm going to use Loot's ability to get rid of the Oracle because having that card is just too much. Let's see what our opponent does. Okay, our opponent puts down Valakut Exploration. Whenever land you control enters, exile the top card. You may play it for as long as it remains exiled. And at the end step, if there are cards exiled with this enchantment, put them in into the graveyard, and the enchantment deals that much damage. Okay. So our opponent is pretty much tapped out. I'm going to attack with loot. I'm going to use his blue ability to draw cards. We're going to put down a land. Cast Time Warp to get another turn. And then we're also going to Flicker Loot so that we can cast his abilities again. That's enough for our opponent to scoop. Yeah, we're going to get another turn on here. We're going to draw more cards with loot. We have Roxanne here. There's just too much value once you get loot onto the battlefield. Good game. For this game, we're fighting against Kona Rescue Beastie. Kona is a really powerful commander. I like this hand because it has some counter and some ramps, so we are going to keep this. Kona is a... He costs 4 mana, he's a 4/3, but if he's tapped on your second main phase, you can basically bring any permanent you have, a permanent card you have onto the battlefield. That could be a creature, an artifact. Very, very powerful and scary commander in every way possible. Come on, R2-D2. Be one with the Force. Let's go. Let's have a good game. Okay, I'm going to the Blooded Strand to get a land with a forest in it so that we can cast it. We're going to cast Utopia Sprawl for some ramp. I'm going to say red. I'm getting the feeling that we are going to just kind of time out on this game. Do you guys like tacos? Tacos are delicious. It's just one of the world's best foods. Whenever I play against an opponent like R2-D2, who hopefully just has a connection issue that he's trying to fix, or you do get people on here that will literally time out because they don't like their hand, but they don't want you to play the game. In those instances, just concede. Just call it a day. Move on to the next game. Don't waste anyone's time. I'm going to cast Planar Genesis to ramp. And we will choose the land here with red mana. Our opponent's turn. I do also want to say that coffee is an amazing drink. If there are any sponsors such as Bones Coffee who's interested in sponsoring my amazing channel in every way, as you can see, I support you through your mugs and coffees. So please send a message my way and let's work out a deal. I'm sure we can come up with something. Cheers. I'm going to keep this game in just to kind of mention about the connection thing. It's a constant frustration that me as a content creator experiences. There's so many games I have to get rid of simply because the opponent just times out or halfway through the game rage quits and it just gets old. Now, I'm not saying R2-D2's doing this. You know, he is a friendly robot, but he just wasn't the droid we were looking for. Good game, R2-D2. Good game. Okay, our next game is against Buxton, Decorated Host. Buxton is an alchemy card. It's Convoke, which means you can have creatures help cast Buxton onto the battlefield. Basically, the goal of this deck is to get out a bunch of small creatures and quickly get out Buxton using them to cast it, and then he starts seeking a non-land permanent with X value, where X is the number of tapped creatures you control every single turn. It's a pretty strong card. Usually I play against Buxton when I'm playing mono black decks, and usually I win pretty well because I have a lot of board wipes. In a loot deck, we don't have a ton of board wipes. We do have some counter spells and some removal, so I'm hoping we'll pull something like that will have enough mana to utilize early in the game. If you can get Buxton removed from the battlefield a couple times, then it's really not a problem. The last game, which I kept in this video, my opponent timed out, and now this opponent looks like they're going to time out as well. I don't understand it, but sometimes I'll go in these sprees where multiple games where the opponents just don't want to play against your commander, but they still accepted the game. Again, the concede button is right up in the corner of the screen. You can just concede and move on with your life. Okay, our opponent goes first. We have a Ragavan, Growth Spiral, Rhystic Study, no counter spell. So I am a little scared. Normally with Ragavan in my hand I would keep it, but they're going to have turn 1, turn 2 creatures. That's just a gimme in a Buxton deck. Okay, this has Witness Protection, a counter spell, and Explore. I like this a little bit better, so we're going to keep this. Our first goal is to get another island, so we have a counter spell up. But if he does get Buxton onto the battlefield, we'll use Witness Protection on him to turn him into a legitimate businessman. A lot more scary than a 4/4 Rabbit Noble, I think. Or we could just not play the game. I promise I will not keep in any more games where they time out. This just really illustrates what half of my experience is and why it takes me so long to make videos, because I just keep running into people who just time out. And our opponent concedes! Did I have fun in this match? Well, my friends, I guess so. Okay, let's see if we can actually have an opponent that will actually fight us. That'll be good. We do get to go first. This hand is okay. It has some ramp, but we're playing against Alesha, who laughs at fate. Gonna have a lot of low-level creatures that he can bring back from the graveyard, which is kind of scary. I think we can probably do a little bit better on this hand, more than likely, so I'm gonna mulligan. Okay, this hand is not better, but it does have some destruction here, which is going to be good against Alesha. So I'm going to keep it. Let's try. Let's go for it. Put down the Arid Mesa. Pass. Let's go for the... let's go for the Thundering Fall so we can surveil. Memory Deluge is a good card, but I'm going to pass on it for now. Let's put down a land. Pass. We do have Uro, which is old favorite Magic card of mine. Probably going to cast that next turn. Okay, we're going to take one. I'm going to put down the Reliquary Tower and cast Uro so we can cast another land, draw another card. What do we need land-wise? I think we need a mountain. However, if we got an island now, we need a mountain. We need to have that. We're going to take some damage here, but that's okay. They're going to hit us. Bring out Alesha. Okay. That's going to hurt badly. However, what we're going to do is we're going to clear the board. We're going to take like 5 damage because of the Marionette Apprentice, I think. 4 damage. Okay. Perfectly fine. Okay, summons a Gaslighter. I don't know why he did that, but alright. We're going to cast Utopia Sprawl. Well, hang on. We're going to cast Utopia Sprawl on the breeding pool. We're going to say blue mana. Then we're going to cast Explore so we can draw another card. And we're going to cast Tamiyo.
If you need me, I'll be in the library.
Okay, he has a Phyrexian Arena so he can draw more cards. Ooh, wow. And he's going to have Protection, which is pretty good. I am going to summon Loot. And then from here, I'm going to draw 3 cards. Which in turn is going to move Tamiyo over as a Planeswalker, which is great.
Protect this library with my life.
And then we're going to ramp up Tamiyo. See if we can get some stuff done here. Let's see what our opponent does. Okay, our opponent is going to attack for 2. 1. Then he's going to bring something back from the graveyard. Okay. He has a 5/5 demon, which is pretty good. However, we have multiple turns here. I'm wondering if we can fool our opponent into blocking. Because we can use what's essentially a lightning bolt. Okay. We're going to deal 3 damage to the demon. And the demon is now dead. Now we're going to cast Time Warp to take another turn. And we're also going to cast Treasure Cruise. Actually, no, we're not. No, we're not. I take that back. Because I want Uro to escape the graveyard, so we'll hold off for now. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. We're going to return the Time Warp to our hand.
I highly recommend this.
Then we're going to add 3 mana of any color. So we'll do actually undo. We're not going to do that yet. Let's attack first. Now we're going to add 3 mana of any color. We're going to use these 2 lands to cast Time Warp. And then we're going to cast Chandra so that we can
Over here.
exile the top card.
Yup, you're going down.
Deal some more damage to our opponent. I do want to get Uro out of the graveyard, so I'm going to hold off. This is really not fair, if I'm just being honest with you. Our opponent may scoop when we do this, but I'm going to first attack. Got him down to 14. And then I'm going to cast Temporal Manipulation so that we get another turn. Yeah, our opponent's going to scoop. We can basically, in this game, keep drawing our Time Warps and Time Spells back from the graveyard, keep hitting him. I could also bounce the Swiftfoot Boots and kill his Alesha with Chandra, but basically, at this point, we could get almost infinite turns, so there's no way our opponent's going to win that game. Lute is a very powerful commander, and having some of these types of cards with him, if you get him going on the battlefield, it's going to be hard for your opponent to deal if he doesn't have a response. Okay, our next game is against Raw Crackling Wit. Raw is a really powerful commander who can make otters, have storm effects, gets stronger for the more types of non-creature spells that you cast, can get more loyalty. Very powerful commander in a lot of ways. He's kind of scary, to be honest with you. I do like this hand well enough. I think we can, no counter spells, but I think we can kind of manage loot and help get through Raw. So let's give this a try. This could be a tricky game, though. We'll summon the Storm Chaser's talent. Get an otter onto the battlefield. Ironically, that's usually his move, but we'll take it. Okay, our opponent's using Crash Shrew to draw another card. Get some more mana. We're going to put down a land, cast Growth Spiral, pump up our creature. We're going to put the Sulphur Falls onto the battlefield. Hit him for 2. Okay, our opponent's going to kill our otter. That's unfortunate. I'm going to take a breeding pool, put that onto the battlefield, and summon Jace. Let's take a look at the top card of his deck. We want to keep him from getting any mana, because I think he's having some mana issues here. We're going to let him keep that because it's not mana. We can kind of control, if we can keep Jace on the battlefield, we can control his mana supply, which is huge. Right here we want a mountain. I'm going to take a look at the top cards of his deck. He does have a Ragavan, which I'm going to let him keep, believe it or not, because we have a lightning bolt. Okay, I'm going to kill the Ragavan, thus negating it. And our opponent scoops. For this game, loot really wasn't a factor. It was Jace who helped us win. Our opponent did not have any mana, and if we can keep attacking the top of his deck turn after turn, he cannot. I mean, we can say if he's going to get a land or not because we can put it to the bottom of the deck. So that was a really cool victory because we controlled our opponent's mana supply to ensure that they weren't going to get any of the lands we need while we continue to draw cards and get more powerful. Really cool ending to the game. I've never done that with Jace, so good game. Okay, this game is a mirror match. Loot versus loot. We do get to go first. We do have a counter spell, an expressive iteration. Once upon a time. This is a pretty decent hand to start the game with, so I'm going to keep it. I am going to cast Once Upon a Time right away. Our opponent's name is Pyleq, I believe. I will take the Hedge Mace because it does scry. We'll throw that down. Stock up is good for card draw, so I'll keep that. Okay, our opponent has an elf. Turn 1, Elvish Mystic. I'm going to put down the Wooded Foothills. I am going to cast it now to get a land, because I'd like to keep up the counter spell. Sometimes you gotta be careful with the lands in case your opponent has a Tails End or Stifle, where they can cut off your supply. You have to be careful with stuff like that. Opponent's eyeing our mana. They see we have counter spell mana up. Okay, do I want to counter the Chrome Mox? No, I don't. It's going to take a card out of his hand. Chrome Mox is a powerful magic card. I really recommend putting this in almost any Brawl deck you have, because it just gives you immediate mana ramp, regardless of what color you have. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I think I'm going to counter that, actually. That does give our opponent a lot of ramp, so I'm going to have to say no to that one. Okay, our opponent attacks. I'm going to cast Stock Up. We did get some good cards. I'm going to take the Mana Drain. And we need some more red mana. So I'm going to take the Rootbound Crag. He's probably going to cast his commander, potentially, this next turn. Nope, he does not. Okay. Okay, we're getting attacked. I am going to put down the Rootbound Crag. And... I'm going to cast Chandra to kill the elf. Trying to take away some of his mana sources.
Do this.
Okay. He kind of cycles with Jace. Oh, look at that. Minsk and Boo. We're in trouble, my friends. We are in trouble.
So, everyone form a line. Bigger is always.
Guess you don't need me anymore.
Okay, how do we pull this off? First thing we do is I'm going to take the Bloodstained Mire and get a land. Steam Vents is good. I'm going to pass. It's kind of a Planeswalker build that he has for his version of loot. Sacrifice a creature. I'm going to use Tashana's Tidebinder. He's going to use a mana drain, but I am going to stop his mana drain with my own mana drain. We will stop Minsk and Boo from doing that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is summon my own loot. And I'm going to attack Minsk and Boo. I'm actually going to attack with both. Let's see what our opponent does. Okay, I'm going to use the Loot's ability to deal 3 damage, kill Minsk and Boo, then also kill the hamster. I'm going to also bring out... Actually, I'm going to bring out Ragavan. Okay, our opponent is still looking for a way to transform Jace, and he finally does.
Control without empathy is just cruel.
Okay, he's going to nullify Loot's ability and bring out his own loot. He cannot use any of Loot's abilities this turn, which is good. We need a way to get rid of his loot. Okay, we did not get a chance to, but I think we could have found a way to get rid of his loot. He's only got 1 card left in his hand. We could have used our Loot's Exhaust ability to draw several more cards. We could have attacked with Ragavan, gotten treasure, and then use the expressive iteration to get some more cards. So, really good game. Lute's a great commander. Really enjoy it. Good game. Thank you so much for watching my video featuring Lute, the Pathfinder. Lute is a very powerful commander, and I hadn't built a build of his before, but I can't say I can complain too much. The games were fun. I am not saying you're going to win every game. Please don't take this to mean that, but I won, just every game that I played for this video. I beat the opponent and won. I'm sure there are some ways to easily defeat Lute. One of the weaknesses I could see is this is a little more of a commander specific deck. So if your opponent's able to counter or remove a Lute several times, then you're not going to get much of a benefit out of that. I would put Lute in the very high A tier of commanders, though. I do think he can go against a lot of commanders toe-to-toe and come out with a victory, and he was a lot of fun to play. So I highly recommend this commander. The deck list is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching my video featuring my amazing and delicious content. I appreciate your support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for watching.